Hello everyone, this is Dave from Dave's Wreaths and Things. I have had a slew of requests for today's video. Everyone out there keeps asking me about those Dollar Tree cross wreath frames and what I can do with them, and to show how I would decorate them and make those cross wreaths. Today, your wish is granted. I am showing you 3 different ways to create cross wreaths using that Dollar Tree cross wreath frame. Why don't I just get started and I'll show you what I made. Here's the star of the show, that cross wreath frame from the Dollar Tree. And I also found these Crafter's Squares flannel fabric, this little mirror with a black border around it, and these beautiful foam flowers that are come in a ball. And of course, I'm going to be using some of my regular crafting utensils to create this project. I'm going to start off laying out that fabric square and just kind of figuring out where I want to make my cuts. So I'm just going to follow the cuts that are actually right there, actually the folds I should say, right on the fabric. I'm going to cut those 2 end pieces and that center one right in half. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay out those pieces, grab my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to start gluing that fabric right onto the wreath frame. Now for this, I'm not being extra careful. This is just the first layer of the fabric, and I just want to make sure it's all nice and covered like you can see here. And then I start on that top half, just doing the exact same thing, adding a little hot glue down, folding it over into itself, and then starting on the arms of the cross, doing the exact same thing, covering up that metal frame with my hot glue gun and with that fabric. And once that fabric is all down, here is the result. And then I'm just going to take another piece and I'm actually going to just do little snippets there, about 1 inch across, and then I'm just going to rip that right off. So I'm creating little strips, a little bit rough, a little bit ragged. I don't care that there is loose threads. That's kind of the look I'm going for. And then I'm just going to take my hot glue gun again, and I'm just going to wrap those pieces all the way around. I want this to look a little rough, a little ragged. So I'm not really being extra careful to make sure that the strips of fabric are perfectly laid down. It's okay if they're a little bit ragged and have a little threads coming off. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So I'm just wrapping it all the way around, and I've got my first end almost done, putting that hot glue down, and then just continuing on wrapping that fabric strips all around the rest of that wreath frame. Hot gluing it down, wrapping it, going on to the next one, and we're almost done. And I'm not going to worry about the center of it because that's going to be covered. And here we go, our final result of our wrapped fabric cross, and I'm loving the results so far. And then that little ball of roses, these are just little foam roses. I'm just going to take that apart, use those roses and place them right in the center, covering up that mirror. And I'm just placing them in there with my hot glue gun, and that's going to be our centerpiece for our cross. And to attach it to the wreath frame, all I'm going to do is attach pipe cleaners. These are full-length pipe cleaners in a crisscross pattern. Get them right in the glue, make sure that's all nice and solid, add a little more hot glue down, let that dry for a little bit before I attach it. And to attach it to our frame, I'm just going to use the crisscross and put that right in between, and then flip that frame so it's face down, and then crisscross at the back using those pipe cleaners. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess for each one of them. And again, just twisting it around, making sure it's nice and secure. And to hang it, I'm just going to use a cable tie, and there's a little piece of the frame showing. I'm just going to stick that cable tie in there, close it a little bit, creating a loop, cut off the excess, and then you have your little hanger for your cross wreath. And here is our final result of our flannel cross wreath using that Crafter's Square fabric that's flannel, that little mirror, and of course those white roses that just are so gorgeous. I love the black and white of this cross wreath, and I hope you do as well. Again, the star of the show, that cross wreath frame we are using today, and this metallic gold spray paint, along with these gorgeous roses that I found at the Dollarama. And here are some other roses you can use if you don't have a Dollarama. These ones come from the Dollar Tree. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shake up my spray paint, go to the garage, spray paint it gold, and here we go, our final result of our gold wreath frame already. It looks just gorgeous. And then I'm just going to start taking apart those floral stems. I'm using roses. You can use whatever florals you want. I'm just cutting them off. Once I have all of my florals ready, I'm just going to glue that right down onto the frame. The first thing I'm going to do is add those petals, those rose buds first. Just kind of making a little cluster right at the center of the cross, coming down a little bit. I have 4 in total, and I'm using different colors. Pinks, lavenders, purples, orange. And again, you can use any florals that you want. You can create the same effect. And then I'm just going to start gluing down some of that greenery, covering up some of the frame, but I want the frame to be exposed as well. That's the whole point of me spray painting that gold color. And it's a really nice, simple, easy craft to do. You don't have to do any deco mesh bundles or anything. And it comes out so beautiful. I think it is just a simple, elegant, classic wreath using that cross wreath frame, some spray paint, and of course, those gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous florals from the Dollarama. I can't believe they were only, I think it was $3.50 each. They were just such a surprise to see. And our final wreath for our second cross wreath. Our third and final wreath, we are using that cross wreath frame along with this burlap garland. This is 5-inch wide. I found this wooden heart that we're going to add on here as well. Along with this burlap ribbon, it's just a very plain cream one, but you can find this burlap and lace one at the Dollar Tree if you want, along with some deep red acrylic paint and my regular crafting utensils to create this project. I'm going to start off painting the wooden heart a deep red color. So I'm just taking my paintbrush, some of that acrylic paint. I'm going to paint the sides. I'm going to paint the front of it, and I'm also going to paint the back of it. Once that's all done, I'm just going to put it to the side to dry. And once that is all dry, we are going to start with our wreath frame. I'm going to be doing the ruffle method, and I'm going to be using one of the wires that I just showed you right there, and we're going to be folding our burlap in half. So pretend my finger is the wire. We're going to wrap it around that wire that I'm showing you right there. So I'm taking one end, putting it through the middle opening, the other one putting it through the end opening, and I'm folding that burlap right in half. You can see there the wire is right on the inside in the middle. And what I'm going to do is I'm taking my left hand and I'm just going to be gathering the fabric with it, and the right hand I'm going to be pulling and pushing into my left hand to create that ruffle effect. So all I'm doing is I'm gathering with my left hand and I'm feeding that garland right into my left hand with my right hand. And you can see this is a little sped up version of me pulling it through. I take a break every now and then, take a look at how it's gathered. Do I need more? Do I need less? And then once I decide I have enough, I'm going to move on to the next section, and I do the exact same thing. I just feed both ends into those openings, making sure that wire is right in the middle. I'm going to get some excess burlap, and then I'm going to start the same procedure over again. I'm going to feed it with my right hand, collecting the ruffles in my left hand, and then just taking a look at it every now and then to make sure I have enough ruffles for that section before I move on. So now I'm just looking at it. Everything looks nice and even. So let's move on to the next section. Just pulling that burlap right through. This is a really great method. It's nice and easy. You don't have to worry about any cuts or a whole bunch of cuts like deco mesh sometimes. And to do the center portion, all I'm going to do is just feed one half of it through that little square right in the center, and then feed the other half through the other side, and just continue on to the next section until I am finished doing that whole row with that ruffle. Again, collecting it with my left hand and feeding it with my right. I'm going to chop off the excess once I'm done at the very end, feed that through, fluff it up a little bit, make sure everything looks good and I'm happy with the result. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm just going to place that right in the middle of that wire, and then I'm going to scrunch and squish that burlap together, and then I'm going to do the other side as well, creating little anchors at the end just so that that burlap doesn't go anywhere. Now for the other side, I'm going to use the same two openings and making sure that that wire is right in the middle. And this time I'm going to push it through the middle section where we already have burlap and the outside. And then what do? We just pull and ruffle, make those ruffles. And I'm going to go all the way down the opposite side and repeat the same process. When I get to the end, chop off the excess, open up that ruffle a little bit so we expose that wire, add some hot glue, and then squish it together, creating a little anchor. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the arms of the cross, following that same procedure, feeding it through, and then when you come to the end, you start your next section, doing the same thing, feeding it through with your right hand, collecting it with your left, chopping off that excess, pulling it through all the way, and then we're going to add the glue right at the very end to seal the ends such that that burlap doesn't come loose. And just be careful with your fingers and burlap because that hot glue, well, it is hot. And here I am, the final result. I'm just fluffing it up and we have our beautiful base wreath ready. And what I'm going to do is take out this, it's a cream color burlap. It doesn't have wire on it, so I'm just finding the center point of that. I'm going to lay that on the cross, and I want it to kind of just cascade over the arms of the wreath frame or of the cross. And I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to put it. Once I find that position, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue on there, make sure it's centered, tip it over onto the other side, and then I'm going to feed the ribbon through those wire of the wire frame just to make sure it's nice and secure and it's not going to go anywhere. And then I'm going to add a little hot glue right at the backside where the wire meets the ribbon so it doesn't fall through or it doesn't move. And while that's drying, I'm just going to create dovetails at the end of those ribbons, making sure they're nice and even, cutting off excess if needed, and then finishing it off with another dovetail. And here is our heart back again. I'm just cutting a couple of pieces of twine, adding some hot glue on the back. I'm going to add the twine right onto that hot glue, making sure it's going to be nice and secure and submersed in that glue. And then I'm going to add a little bit more glue just to make sure everything is secure. And this is how we're going to attach our heart to our cross wreath. I'm going to let that fully dry. Then I'm just going to place the heart. I want it on a bit of an angle. And then I'm going to wrap that the twine to the back, flip it over, and then crisscross those strings or the rope or the twine, whatever you want to call it, and attach it to the back. And then I'm just going to cut off that excess. And once we flip it back over, we have our finished cross wreath made with the burlap garland with that ruffle method and that beautiful cream colored ribbon that's just cascading off of those arms. And of course, our red wooden heart right in the center. Look at those beautiful ruffles and that beautiful cream ribbon. I just love the combination of all of this and really how simple all three of these cross wreaths turned out. So here's our first one with that flannel fabric, the mirror, and those white roses that just pop against that black background. And of course, those roses with our spray painted gold cross wreath frame, just elegant, simple, Just so beautiful, and I love the color of those roses. Thank you so much for watching and joining me today in creating 3 of the Dollar Tree cross wreaths. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed making these wreaths. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new project. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.